Howell Township Planning Board meeting September 3rd, 2020. I hereby declare this meeting of the Howell Township Planning Board to be open, adequate notice having been given pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act in the following manner. First, on January 27th, 2020, a copy of said notice was mailed to the Asbury Park Press and the Tri-Town News. Second, on January 27th, 2020, a copy of said notice was hand-delivered to the clerk of the Township of Howell. Third, on January 27th, 2020, said notice was posted in the office of the Planning Board and on the bulletin board in the Howell Township Municipal Building, 4567 Route 9, Howell Township, New Jersey. On August 20th, 2020, a notice was sent to both the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger that this meeting would be held remotely using communication equipment due to COVID-19 restrictions. In addition to the live feed on YouTube, this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Township TV 77. Just a few little housekeeping things. We're going to try to mute everyone except the applicant that is being heard and the board professionals. Then we will unmute the board members for questions and comments. And during public, we will keep the applicant and their team unmuted. One other note, please keep all your electronic equipment off except the computer or phone that you're using. We find that that keeps feedback to a minimum. So if you're listening on your phone, please shut off the microphones on your computer or vice versa. And do not watch on YouTube because that's going to also give us feedback. So just be on the meeting for now. You can always go to YouTube later. Thank you. Now I need all
Thank you, Eileen. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Bozovic, I have not heard from. Mr. Dorado has been excused. Mr. Husser said he would be late. Chief Kudrick?
Present, tardy.
You're okay. Mr. Leggio?
Here.
Mr. Nicastro has been excused. Mr. Seaman was going to be late. Mr. Bavai?
Here.
Mr. Everett?
Here.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell has been excused. And Chairman Tannenhouse.
Thank you.
You have a quorum.
I've got a message here from Nick. He's having some volume issues and everything keeps freezing on his end. So I told him to try to maybe call in from the telephone.
Yeah, that would be fine.
So he may join us.
Okay.
Hey, everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Hey, Chief. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I apologize, we forgot to have a moment for all of our first responders, those protecting those lands. Okay, Eileen, do we have an approval of minutes?
We have one set of minutes from August the 6th.
Okay, eligible voters are Chief Goodrick, Mr. Leggio, and I think that's it.
And Mr. Everett.
Oh, Mr. Everett, sorry, saw that there.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
I have a motion by Chief Kudrick and a second by Mr. Everett. Chief Kudrick?
Yes.
Mr. Leggio?
Yes.
And Mr. Everett.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Voucher,
No vouchers.
correspondence,
The only correspondence I have was emailed to the members, and it pertained to other towns' ordinances or the Monmouth County Awards Program. That's it.
Got it. Great, thank you. All right, we have a couple of resolutions. Resolution for case number SD 2978F. Eligible voters, Chief Kudrick, Mr. Leggio, and Mr. Everett. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
That was a motion by Mr. Everett and a second by Mr. Leggio. Chief Kudrick,
Yes.
Mr. Leggio,
Yes.
and Mr. Everett.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolutions memorialized.
Thank you. Case number, we have a resolution for case number SC-1074. Eligible voters, Chief Kudrick, Mr. Leggio, and Mr. Everett. Do I have a motion, please?
A motion.
Motion. Okay. Second.
I think that was a motion by Mr. Leggio and a second by Mr. Everett. Chief Kudrick,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Leggio,
Yes.
and Mr. Everett.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolutions memorialized. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, first submission waiver for the night, case number SC-1076.
Ken Halloran.
I think you're up.
That's Mr. Halloran. I believe that's your case.
Vince Halloran, attorney, Vincent Halloran, appearing for the applicant.
I need Ron and Laura.
Okay, Mr. Halloran, our normal procedure is that we'll turn it over to Ms. Newman to go over the requested submission waivers, and then if the board has any questions, they'll ask you. Laura, do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. So if I could, Mr. David, all 2020 planning board report submission waivers are specific. Item 3, there are 5 requested submission waivers. Given the nature of the application, I take no exception to waiving of these items for the purpose of deeming the application complete.
All the board members.
Mr. Hallerman,
Yes, sir.
do you have a
Yes, sir.
response to Ms. Newman?
I really had a hard time hearing. I'm sorry.
Okay. Eileen, is everybody muted except for Laura and Mr. Hallerman?
Yes, we just unmuted the board members in case anybody was making a motion, and Mr. Husser has joined the meeting.
Okay, so if we could just mute everybody one more time, except for Ms. Newman and Mr. Halloran, and Mr. Halloran listen to what Ms. Newman said so he can respond accordingly. And then we can open it up to the board members.
Mr. Chairman, to be fair to Mr. Halloran, I support the waiving of these items. So unless there is an issue with board members, I'm not going to have a
Vince Halloran, I agree with Laura.
Laura, you keep cutting in and out. I don't know
great.
why.
Okay, with that being said, do any of the board members have any comments? And if you don't, do we have a motion? Eileen, can you confirm that everybody on board is unmuted?
Yes, they are.
Okay. All right. Don't have any questions. I'll take a motion, please. can't continue unless there's someone puts a motion on the board.
All board members are unmuted. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I
I can't hear.
didn't understand.
Sorry, Mr. Everett. Do you have a motion to place on the record for the submission waivers? Case number SE-1076.
Okay, make a motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
I'm sorry, that was Mr. Leggio that did the second?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Chief Kudrick?
Eileen, I don't even know what I'm voting on. It's all garbled.
Yeah, I was confused myself.
These are for submission waivers to deem the
Hold on,
applicant complete, and
Mr.
Ms.
Chair.
Newman said she took no exception to the granting of the waivers.
Okay, thank you. I heard you perfectly.
Thank you. Do you want to vote on the motion to grant the waivers?
Yes, granted.
Thank you. Mr. Leggio?
Yes.
Mr. Bavai?
Yes.
Mr. Everett?
Yes.
And Chairman Tannenhouse?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next submission waiver is for.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good night.
Next submission waiver is for case number ST-1009A-2 for Par Golf LLC.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. It's Todd Cohen, attorney for the applicant, Par Golf.
Okay, thank you.
Is Laura off? Yeah, she's off.
Mr. Gutierrez, do you want to swear Zoom back in? This applicant?
Yeah, you swear or affirm the testimony you have to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we had issued a complete August 18th. Submission waivers are in item 2. It doesn't get given the nature of this application, conservatory and a breezeway, we take those waivers.
Laura, you're cutting
for
out.
the pur-
Can you move the mic closer to you?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we issued a completeness memo dated August 18th, 2020, where all of the submission waivers are two. There are a substantial amount of waivers. However, given the nature of this application as a conservatory with a reef, there's not improvement proposed. So for those reasons, I take no granting of purposes of deeming the application complete.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen, do you have anything else you'd like to follow up?
No, my other people are here for the public hearing.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
No, I have nothing further.
Okay. All right. Then we'll take does anybody have any questions? Or do we have a motion? We need a motion granting approval for this fee submission waiver.
Once again, for anybody,
Chief Kudrick,
Mr. Leggio,
Yes.
you made a motion.
Yes.
Does anybody want a second?
Second.
Thank you,
Second.
Dave. Mr. Husser? Is he,
Yes.
Chief Kudrick?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Leggio?
Yes.
Mr. Bavai?
Yes.
Mr. Everett?
Yes.
Chairman Tannenhouse?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Submission waivers are
Thank you
granted.
very much.
You're welcome. All right, next case for submission waiver, it's case number SP-1077, Hurley Field 1 LLC. Huh? Ms. Newman?
Mr.
Can
Pape,
swear
you
or
could go
affirm
ahead.
the testimony that the report, the truth, the whole truth, and what the truth?
I do.
Very briefly, Mr. Chairman, can I state on behalf of the applicant? This is a minor site plan to install a canopy over loading dock that exists in an industrial park.
Okay,
Let me hear from Ms. Newman.
Again, Mr. Chairman, as was, we had August 20th report, waivers are outlined in item 3. Again, similar to the prior application, there's a substantial amount of waivers, but as you heard from Mr. Tate, the application is just for a canopy at the building. So again, given the nature of the application, I take exception to the grant of waiver application.
great. Thank you, Ms. Newman. Does anybody from the board have any questions, or would they like to enter a motion?
Question.
Okay, does anybody want to enter a motion for approving the submission waivers for case number SP-1077?
Motion, I will second.
I'm sorry, I missed who made the motion. I think the chief seconded.
I made it.
Thank
John
you.
Leggett.
So I have a motion by Mr. Lecchio and a second by Chief Kudrick. Mr. Husser?
Correct.
Is he muted? No. Mr. Husser?
I cannot hear anything. I cannot hear.
We can't
Yeah,
hear
you're
you
freezing
either,
up.
Nick. Chief Kudrick?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Leggio?
Yes.
Mr. Bavai?
Yes.
Mr. Everett?
Yes.
And Chairman Tannenhouse?
Yeah,
Wait, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
If I could just address for a moment Mr. Pape and Mr. Cohen. Council, you both heard that the technology is not exactly cooperating with us tonight. My understanding, Eileen, is that we're moving to the Zoom platform for the next meeting.
I don't know if it'll be the next meeting or the one after that, but we will be moving to Zoom.
All right, I leave it to council. I don't know that, I mean, we are maintaining a record. I believe we would be able to make a transcript out of it, but I leave it to your discretion as to whether you want to continue tonight or whether you want to carry to another night when we have a different platform. I leave it to you, council.
Oh. If I'm Mr. Chair, it's Ken Pape. The next application that I have is a waiver application for the FP Howell application, which is an affordable housing project recently identified in the litigation that settled Howell Township affordable responsibilities. And the waiver requests that pursuant to the language of that settlement, which states that there shall be an elimination or avoidance of any items that create unnecessary expenses. And our request is that they be waived for submission purposes. And if the board during the hearings determines the information is necessary, we would provide it. And I look to you, Mr. Cucchiaro, for guidance as to whether this is going to require extended discussion or is accepted by the board before making a decision as to whether a different platform is necessary.
I mean, I can't make the decision for you. What I can tell you is I have some discomfort with the quality of of this platform right now. I have no idea what the board, his inclination is with regard to the submission waivers. So I don't know how long or how short it will be tonight. I mean, I suppose we could get started, and if you believe that, the nature of it, you would want to carry, you can certainly do that.
Sure. Mr. Cucchiaro, I would appreciate if we could start and we'll make the determination in a few moments. If that's acceptable.
Okay, all right. So Laura, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Well,
I
hold
do.
on, Mr. Cucchiaro. I don't believe that I put into the record the next submission waiver request.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Right. So the next submission waiver up is for case number SD 2990 SP Howell LLC.
Okay, you remain under oath, Mr.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I did a completeness review dated August 19th, 2020. The submission waivers are specifically outlined in item 2. What I would note, or at least feedback to, is although Mr. Pape indicated a Mount Laurel application settlement with the town, it is a 100-acre site and 318 units are proposed. So with that, I would want environmental, I would see a traffic report. I think a woodlands management plan is appropriate, and I think an outbound survey of the certainly I'm happy to hear comments from the, those are items we would typically, especially on a larger development application.
I would agree, Ms. Newman. That was one of my concerns with this, with the submission waivers, is that the large size of the site, I think, warrants having all of those checklist items, number 13, 14, 16, 17, and 59, included in the submission, and along with the others that you recommended should also be included, which is 52, 75, and 85. Does anybody else from the board have a question? Then we'll open up to Mr. Pape for comment.
Yeah, sure.
No.
There's no other questions from board members. Mr. Chair, I appreciate that you carry this to the next available hearing. I have a number of points to be made on at least half of those points, but I'd like to have a better opportunity to engage in colloquy with the board.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Okay, just for the record, Mr. Chairman, submission waivers, there is no public notice associated with the submission waivers. So Mr. Mr. Pape will advise you when we can get you on the agenda with a better platform.
Mr. Chairman, all members of the board, thank you. Good night.
Yes, have a good night.
He's going off.
Okay, Mr. Piero, what are we doing here? Is it Mr. Cohen to decide if you'd like to continue with his application?
Yeah, let's hear from Mr. Cohen as to whether he's comfortable moving forward.
Good evening, everybody. While it may not be the best, I have a major time issue with my application because the conservatory is going to be delivered to the site sometime in October. So if there's any way we could get through this hearing tonight, it is very minor in nature, I believe. You can see the review letters from your professionals don't really talk about much. I have my two witnesses here.
Okay, Mr. Cohen, then let's let the chairman introduce the application and we'll get going.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cupiero, before we get going, could I make a recommendation? Is it possible for us to mute everybody except for when it's time for me to make the introductions here? We can go ahead and unmute me, and then when it's time for Mr. Cohen.
Well, there's no prohibition against it. I defer to Eileen if that's something that you can accomplish.
I can mute everyone, just when that person is done speaking, you need to give me a few seconds to unmute the people that need to speak or unmute all the board members so that they can comment. So if that's okay, I guess, who do you need off mute or who do you need left?
Yeah, why don't we try it? Right now, why don't you just mute everybody except for myself, and let's see if it clears up.
Okay.
And let me introduce the applicant.
All right, hold on 1 second. Okay, that's easier, yeah. Mute everybody,
Okay.
and then me and Brian. He's on.
Not Eileen, if you can hear me.
I can.
Okay. All right. We are going to introduce your first application before the board. Case number SP-1009A-2, Park Golf LLC. Please open it to Mr. Cohen.
1 second. Mr. Cohen, you're good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board professionals. My name's Todd Cohen. I'm the attorney for the applicant. This is a minor site plan application to basically add a conservatory over an existing property that's used all the time. I have with me this evening Mr. DeFalco, who's our engineer, and Mike Monroe, our architect. If we could have them both sworn, we can make a very brief presentation, answer the questions in your professional letters, and answer obviously any questions the board may have.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state and spell your name for the record.
Richard DeFalco, D-I-F-O-L-C-O.
And Michael Monroe.
And Richard, would you put your qualifications on as a professional engineer to be accepted by the board, please?
Just give me 1 second. I'm going to mute everybody again except for Mr. DeFalco and Mr. Cohen. You're good to go. Thank you.
Yes, hi, I'm a licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey since 1977. I've been doing civil engineering design with JKR Engineering, which is my company, since the early 80s. I've been before the Howell board and most every other board in Monmouth County, planning boards, to present site plans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Monroe, if you could do the same thing, please.
Hold on. I need to unmute him.
No problem.
You're good to go, Mr. Monroe.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a licensed architect for approximately 30 years in New Jersey. I've been accepted before the Howell Board many times, including, I think, a month ago or 2 months ago. I've testified before probably 40 different municipalities as an expert witness, and
Get down here.
past president of Jersey Shore AIA and current chairman of Red Bank Construction Board of
This one,
Appeals.
par golf. That one.
I'm
Mr. Chairman,
sorry.
I ask that he be accepted as a professional architect.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Cohen. I missed. Did he say that he's a licensed architect in New Jersey?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. We'll accept his credentials.
thank you.
Mr.
Okay, I'm gonna
Cohen,
need
who are you
Rich.
going to have testify first?
Rich.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Shut him off. Okay, Mr. DeFalco and Mr. Cohen and the chairman are all unmuted.
Thank you. Rich, you're familiar with the CME review letters we've received, the engineering letter of August 24th, the planning letter of September 1st, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, could you give the board just a brief description of the application tonight? And then we can address the questions raised in the letter.
Okay, the plan is to construct a glass roof conservatory over the rose garden, which is a paved outdoor patio. The new structure will fit within the paved patio, but provide all-weather protection. There is an architect plan which is self-explanatory. So we're putting a covering over the patio. We're
Okay, there
also
was-
relocating the surrounding landscaping, which is in the rose garden. And that's the beautiful rose garden building, which is glass on top and a water table stone at the grade level. And that sits on top of the existing patio. There's some minor drainage to collect the roof water and pipe it into the existing Eagle Oaks drainage system.
There were a few questions raised in Laura's August 24th letter.
Yes,
The one was about the proposed generator unit. Could you address that quickly?
yes. On my site plan sheet number 4, we are proposing a concrete slab with a generator and HVAC equipment. Our generator is solely for this building. The generator is adjacent to 2 large generators which service the entire clubhouse. I believe the noise will be minimal due to the presence of the other 2 existing generators which have existed for many years. There will be landscaping to shield the visual appearance of the generator from the conservatory, which will tend to provide some noise buffer.
And with regard to outside agency approvals, we have an application into Monmouth County Planning Board, is that correct?
Yes, the county planning board application was submitted.
And we're looking for an exemption from freehold soil, is that correct?
That is also correct. There will be no bathrooms, no water usage, no sanitary sewer flow from the building.
So it's basically just an enclosure of an existing space without a change in use, is that correct?
That is correct.
There was another question raised in Laura's letter regarding conditions of prior approvals, specifically a lot consolidation. That was in fact done. The deed was recorded on July 8th in the Monmouth County Clerk's Office, and I can provide a copy to the board as proof. Laura, I think that was pretty much everything in your letter. Rich, could you just address the discrepancy in the acreage?
The surveyor who provided us with the new legal description of the golf course calculated the area of the golf course as 235 acres, where previously it was listed as 201 acres. According to the surveyor, the new higher number is correct. And I have requested from him some history as to how it changed, but he assured me that the new acreage is correct. It doesn't
Is there
change
any
the
new lighting proposed?
I'm sorry, Todd.
Was there any new lighting proposed with the application? That was a question also.
The only lighting, well, that there are lights there now, they will remain. And then the structure itself will have lights on the indoors, which will provide adequate lighting.
At this time, I'd like, if there's any questions of the engineer.
I guess you gotta undo everybody.
Eileen, please
Just-
open it to the board members.
Yes, one moment, please. Probably could have unmuted everybody. He might need to be too, I don't know. Everyone is now
Reopen to all
unmuted.
board members. Does
It
any
seems
board
like-
members have any comments?
It seems like the slower you speak, the clearer you come across as well.
No questions.
Nick, Mr. Kuchar, Nick and Mr. Chief Figure? You have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Cohen?
If there's no questions, I would just like the architect to be put on so he can address the comment in the planner's letter regarding the architectural design standards.
That's him. Mr. Monroe, you can go ahead.
Thank you. I believe the question that was raised is how this building responds to the architectural elevation requirements for offsets. The main building is 70 by 50, but it has an upper lantern area, which is 17 by 46, which is basically a hipped roof on another hipped roof. And it's 4 foot tall on the upper windows. So I think in reality, this would meet the intent of the requirements for horizontal and vertical offsets of the architectural elements. And that's basically all I have.
Okay, any questions, of the architect?
1 second.
Eileen, please unmute.
Mm-hmm. Okay, everyone is now unmuted.
Okay. See if from the board have any questions.
No.
Nick, shake your head. Okay. Mr. Cohen, no questions.
Peter, you're good? Peter, is Peter good?
Yeah, I'm good. I think that, as you said, it meets the intent of the ordinance. I think it's, the architecture of the building is excellent. I guess the only other question I had, if it wasn't mentioned already, if the use of the space in terms of capacity and as that relates to parking, if there's any difference, any increase in intensity of use.
No, none whatsoever, no. It's an existing space that's already used.
Right. And then did you mention landscaping at all? I think it was mentioned in the plans, but we didn't see any details. I think it's the only other thing I had.
I believe Rich did mention that. I know they're repurposing a lot of the landscaping that's there now, but we have no problem with any additional landscaping that might be requested by Sherry or yourself or.
Okay. I mean, I guess since there was no detail provided, I would ask, and I defer to Laura, if a detail could be provided, maybe as a condition or whatever would be appropriate in this case.
No. We need Laura, I think.
Laura's good.
So as was said, or as not testified to tonight, but I know what we discussed at our TRC meeting is that there's going to be a shift of a lot of the existing landscaping. There's a rose garden there, and the screening is going to continue around to the area. So I don't know if it is a specific condition, but that was certainly the presentation. Retain the landscaping that is currently there.
Agreed. Rich, you need to come in?
Regarding the landscaping, I can do a plan and show 50 trees and shrubs, but Eagle Oaks plants 500 trees and shrubs. And they make it look like Disneyland. So whatever we show is going to be 10 times better. And you've seen that over the years. I kind of leave it to them because they don't listen anyway.
Did he unmute himself?
I don't believe we have anything further in our presentation. If you want to open it to the public, that'd be great.
If you go to planning board.
Okay, Eileen, can you hear me?
I can. No, the other one.
All right, we're gonna open the meeting to the public. If anybody would like to use the raise their hand button that's available, or we'll try to, maybe we'll mute everybody but the public and myself, so that, the public
Mhm.
can properly.
Except me and the chairman.
Eileen, it is 8:04. We're gonna wait 2 minutes so that anybody who, from the public that would like to speak can call in from the number and the meeting ID code and PIN code that is shown on the screen now. For anybody that's listening to this from an audio standpoint, phone number is 833-247-7123. Meeting ID code is 296452, and the PIN code is 3333.
For members of the public, the meeting is now open for questions or comments on the PAR Golf application only. The instructions are on the live stream. Thank you. I'm ready to become an alcoholic. This is driving me nuts. I don't either. Mhm. And what would happen if you had a power outage tonight and you can't do a meeting at all? I see one member of the public is on here with a phone call. Ms. Spilek, do you have any questions?
I just want to tell you, this meeting, you can hardly hear. The echoing is horrible.
I understand that. Unfortunately, it's not just our connection, it's everyone's.
How are you supposed to ask questions when you can't even understand what's going on? I just want to tell you, this meeting, you can hardly hear. The echoing is horrible.
Ms. Smilek, do you have a question?
Can I take this down?
You faded out there, Ms. Smilek. Please repeat. Okay, Mr. Cucchiaro, do you think that's enough?
Mr. Chairman, again, I am uncomfortable that we had a member of the public who we lost in transmission. And I'm certainly sympathetic to the applicant's timing issue. My recommendation for tonight, whether the board is inclined to vote positively or negatively on the application, is that you vote only to authorize me to draft a resolution, and that at the next meeting, we continue the public session and we also memorialize the resolution. If the resolution doesn't change by virtue of the public participation.
All right. Do I have this?
So if that's, Mr. Cohen, do you have any objection to that?
1 second, he's been muted. Go ahead. Oh, wait a minute. Give me 1 second. Everybody's unmuted now.
Ron, I don't necessarily have an objection to what you just proposed, but do we even know that Ms. Smilek was calling on this application?
Well, it doesn't matter. The fact that we don't know is the problem.
Fair enough.
Participated on this application when it was opened on this application. So she participated and we lost her. So, yeah, that is a problem.
In that case, I'll be happy to go with your suggestion.
All right, so then, Chairman, we take action to authorize me to either prepare a positive or a negative resolution, and then we would carry this application without further public notice to the board's next meeting.
I would say that's reasonable. Thank you. Okay, so do we just open it up for a vote?
Can you just close public first officially, please?
I'm sorry. Yeah, so we'll officially close the public portion of this meeting.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Cohen, do you have any final comments?
Just very simply, I think it's a pretty straightforward application. Our professionals addressed all the concerns of your professionals. So I think we're good as presented. Thank you. I'd ask the application be approved.
Okay. Can I get a motion, case number FP-1009A2?
And again, Mr. Chairman, if it's a positive motion, it's a motion simply to direct me to draft a positive resolution.
Correct.
I'll give a motion for Mr. Gutierrez for a positive resolution.
Kuchar seconds it.
I have a motion by Mr. Leggio and a second by Chief Kudrick. Mr. Husser?
Yes.
Thank you. Chief Kudrick?
We lost you, Chief.
Chief Kudrick?
Yes, Eileen.
Thank you. Mr. Leggio?
Yes.
Mr. Everett?
Yes.
Mr. Bavai? I believe Mr. Bavai left the meeting. Chairman Tannenhouse?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much for your time.
How many affirmative votes is that, Eileen?
That was 5.
Okay. All right, and then just for the record and for members of the public, this application will be carried to the board's next public meeting, which is the 17th, Eileen?
Yes.
September 17, 2020, beginning 7 o'clock. At the moment, it'll be this platform. If the platform changes, there'll be a new public notice that will go to property owners and also be published in the newspaper. Again, it begins at 7 o'clock. It's the virtual meeting, the same login instructions. If there's a change, there'll be a new notice. There'll be no further notice to property owners if there is no other changes.
Thank you, Mr. Cucchiaro. Okay. We'll officially close the meeting, or is there, I guess we can't have an executive session on this format, correct?
No.
No executive session.
All right, then I'll take a motion to close the meeting.
Make a motion to close the meeting?
All in favor?
Second.
Everybody have a good night and a safe weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Thank